comes forward. Now, for a club like Bambutus having a very sad situation around its followers, and the way I saw them play against Apaches, I mean, Apaches too, they all have revitalized their system and re-injected new blood into their squad. Teams like Apaches, AS Fortuna are using virtually young players, and I hope this serves as an eye-opener to teams going into next season, because the younger talents are really coming up and powerfully and taking their place rightfully. So for a team like Bambutus, if they really go down, somebody was asking what would the championship look like without Bambutus of Muda. Well, we are hoping to see how it goes. Ashray of Douala as well, they are making the best out of the situation, but we have to commend AS Fortuna. They have been really great. I mean, from a team that was nowhere to be found, they resurrected so much so that Andrine Boris Fumu, counting 16 goals or so to his name, is really important. And maybe those who are hoping to re-inject players into their squad, like Boris was saying, maybe PWD should start contacting someone like this for ahead of next season. And when we look at guys like UMS of Loom, generally Fufu Club of Bahamu have already confirmed their demotion into the second tier. It's you're going down with the Cup of Cameroon. Like I said, it should act as a brain resetting for some of them, and see how they bounce back into the scene and make it more better than they've been performing. You see teams like UMS of Loom, they've been there over the ages, but their consistency is the problem, and hopefully we'll see how they go. And the matches tomorrow, AS Fortuna, it's going to definitely be a cracker against Bambutus of Muda. I mean, players we've just talked about Fumu, Boris, Andrine, and of course Kache Boris on the other hand. A Bambutu squad that is practically rich, I mean, from goal to attack, and we hoping to see how it goes. AS Fortuna, Apaches rather, are equally looking at that game, while Ashray as well are going up against their opponent. This is a team, they've been picking up steam for quite some time, and they have been promised I think the sum of 2 million francs CFA should they maintain their Elite One status. Let's see how all this go down tomorrow. But it's been quite an amazing season. It's been really top-notch football. People are vying for the championship. We saw Victoria United progressing, and even on the final day doing the needful to grabbing the trophy. Yosa was exceptional. Clubs like Dinamo, who gave us the ginger, if I can say so, heading into the playoffs, didn't.
One of the people online saying that Dinamo was going to overthrow Kotosport of Garoua.
Well, basically what I was campaigning for, or I would say hoping for, was change, and it did occur in another form. So it's the hegemony has been stopped. Then let's see how it goes from there. Clubs like Dinamo, Canon of Yaoundé, we are hearing that they have tailored their objectives towards the Cup of Cameroon. Let's see how it goes. But it's been an amazing season, and if we go into next campaign with 16 teams, as it's been said, then it's going to be a much more improved championship from a Cameroonian perspective.
And definitely we're waiting to see a lot in terms of our next year's season. Who are those that are going to break the walls? Who are those that are going to say, it's time for my own team to be able to create a name for ourselves? And yeah, and I'm sure that Abros is going to want to throw more light a little bit on what the games for tomorrow are going to look like.
Well, first of all, Sonita, when you talk about the fact that we have two teams that have gone down, yes, have you who have mathematically gone down, but I see four, because four, like Mike was talking about, four have gone down already. It's just tomorrow that we're expecting to get the final team, because Aigle Royal of the Menoa will go down, UMS of Loom equally will go down. Remember, these two sides, they have 9 points, and Bambutuza occupies the last safety spot, has 12 points. So if these two teams pick up a victory, and remember, they cannot pick up a victory, the two teams cannot pick up a victory at the same time, because they are meeting each other. So one will pick up a victory. So say UMS of Loom picks up a victory, then what happens? Even if Bambutus is beaten, Bambutus, the trick now will be in the game against Apache. I'm coming to it later. The reason why I say Aigle will still go down is because UMS of Lone was beaten by Bamtus when they met each other. So head to head, UMS will still go down even if he wins this game against Egley. The problem now lies in the game. If Egley wins, no, I'm still talking about the game Egley against UMS of Lone. So if Egley wins, Egley can go to 12 points, but the problem will be that they had a draw. So you have to go now to the disciplinary records to check who has a better disciplinary record. They had a 2-2 draw when the two sides met 2-1-1 or 2-2 when they met each other. So the problem now is the game against the game for Apaches of Fo. Because if Apaches wins its game and Bambutus is beaten, then Bambutus will be relegated, like Michael was saying it earlier. But what if Bambutus wins, Apaches wins? What happens? Lesas doesn't win. Lesas will be relegated.
I mean, it's
a three-way battle tomorrow. Definitely. It's not just about Apaches. It's not just about Bambutus. Yes, Lesas has a total of 13 points at the moment, but if they lose their game tomorrow, Bambutus picks up a victory, Apaches picks up a victory, then Lesas is relegated. Despite the fact that they have 13 points. Yes, so it is a real. Yeah, no, we're looking at the aspect of head-to-head. It's not, in Cameroon, it's not goal difference, but the head-to-head between the two sides that are on identical point. We separate them by the goal score, the internal records, and so on and so forth. So tomorrow, I'm something is telling me that Bambutus will go down, but I'm also relying on the fact that Apaches might just go down. Remember, we're looking at Apaches against Fuvazo Elite. Fuvazo Elite has nothing to lose in this particular game.
Definitely.
Where my problem now is AS Fortuna. Surprisingly, AS Fortuna picked up a victory last round. Yeah. Many were shocked as to the fact that AS Fortuna could pick up a victory. And with them going into this game with the momentum of victory, I'm seeing them beating Bambutus FC Buda in this particular game. And if that happens, I expect the likes of Apaches to pick up a victory in this particular game against Fuvazo Elite. So it's going to be a tough encounter tomorrow. Good news is the fact that all the teams are playing simultaneously. We have the aspect of match fixing and so on and so forth. But even if they play simultaneously, one team can decide to fill in is weaker in quote team B as opposed to the team A. So things can still happen in this particular game. But I think Bambutus have to be very careful because they are decided at the moment have a lot to lose in this particular game. Not just their status as an MTN Elite 1 side, but the fact that they are one of the most supported teams in the country. And you know what happens when you are demoted? The fans might be disgruntled. And if they are disgruntled, they might decide not to come to the field again to punish you for taking them to Elite 2 football championship. And AS Fortuna is not a pushover. AS Fortuna is leading the table at the moment. Who would have seen AS Fortuna, Boys Fomu? Who would have seen? So I think there's a lot riding on this particular game. And like I said, Bambutus have to be very careful. A draw might be enough, but it's going to be very difficult.
Well, Boris, when we look at it, like I said, it should be a brain resetting something for a club like Bambutus. I mean, it doesn't speak well for them. It appears maybe their problem lies in management. Why do I say so? Because when at the start of the season, Bambutus had their preseason in Battlefield. When you look at the players they had down there in the East region, it was superb. And up to this moment, they still have that crop of players. Why is the results not coming? Last season, they missed out on the title. They had a coach like Yves Clément Aroga. And when they were progressing, I think in the Cup of Cameroon, Aroga left. Yeah. We saw what, basically Aroga is one of those cherished coaches around the national territory. His CV is quite rich. We've seen what he did at Dynamo of Douala. When you have a coach like that, I think it's that moment they were supposed to let him do his job. And you saw him leaving Dynamo saying it's because of the amateurism that is there, and it's almost a similar reason that led to him leaving Bambutus of Buda. They brought in a Ghanaian. The guy had a team. It's true the results were not forthcoming, but the management should have at least be patient with Asare Bitiako and see how it goes. And they terminated it halfway, bringing in a manager who was not doing quite well at his own end of his former employer. So for Bambutus, if they happen to drop down, maybe their fans will leave, but they should learn from the mistakes of this season. It's a really exciting team to watch. They have a really good playing style, firing players, but I strongly believe the problem might just be coming from the back room, and we understand that when things are not going well in management, teams don't really turn out to perform that good on the pitch.
And definitely we'll only wait and see what's going to transpire tomorrow over there in Yaoundé, the nation's capital. Please, for those who are calling, the lines are not open. Just send us an SMS, either a normal SMS or a text on WhatsApp. Thank you. If you want to contribute to any of our topic of discussions, you can just send us a text message on the number you find on your screen. And away from the play down, who are those finally that are going to be relegated back to the MTN Elite 2 Championship? Let's talk about what has been happening in terms of the Southwest Regional League. We're talking already match day 3 with Best Stars Academy deciding to beat a team 13 goals to 0. I'm going to commence with you, Boris Esono. What a performance for Best Stars.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to Best Stars. They always say when your team is weak, score as much as possible. Because when we meet a tough opponent, you might find it difficult to score the goals. And Best Stars showed their class in that particular game against Manu FC. Best Stars is a side that I hold in high esteem. Why? Because I see Best Stars in the elite level. But unfortunately, the president, Jofak Satunen, is in the business. The reason why I use the word business is because that's the same direction Auction Sports Academy wants to go. Remember, we spoke with the president and the coach also, who says that he's presently turning his mind into the business of selling and making sure that his club is stable. And that's where Best Stars has been for the past couple of years. And Best Stars is a club that many have to really look at if they want to go professional. It's a model for Southwest Regional League. I keep telling people that if you want to grow in this business, you really need to know how to sell some of your players. There are a couple of clubs that have gone not the best way. They have about 29 years of age players, 30 or so. How is it possible for you to make money out of that player? It's not possible. I'm not saying it's not going to be possible, but what I'm looking at is a point where you cannot really sell them to the bigger clubs. Like Best Stars that will take a 16-year-old, 2-3 years by the time you hear in the player is on trial in a club out of the country. So that's the way Best Stars is going. And unfortunately, it's a model which I like but I hate. Why do I say so? I want to see Best Stars in the elite level. But I think I don't know if they are contented staying in the regional league. I know when you talk with the president, he will tell you that they want to go. But the way they've modeled their business is to train these kids. They don't go for the overage players. No. They take from the base, train these kids. 1, 2, 5 years, you will see they are in a different level. And I applaud that. But like I said, I am that person that wants to really see Best Stars because I know they have a lot to give in the elite championship. And the thing goes to say, what the scoreline? When I saw that scoreline, I had to go to Ngome Mike and say, Michael, what is happening in this particular game? And he had to tell me that the Manu FC guys were very much tired in this particular game. Rightly so. Remember, Sonita, the league this year is a complicated league. It's not a league that we had last year. Yeah, when we had last year, we had a couple of hiccups and so on and so on. But people know when the league will start. They are prepared and their mindset was there to play the game. The league this year is not the league that we had because of what so many things have unfolded. I don't want to go into the polemics, and we had that discussion of can have it now till tomorrow. But Man U FC really need to step up. You cannot go to the game with 11 players. At the end of the day, you are finishing the game with 7 players. They will tell you that the issue of licenses is disturbing. Yeah, we know the issue of licenses. It's better to play than to forfeit. So it's better that they play the game and they were beating 13-0, because by the time they don't play 2 games, we start hearing that they have gone general for future from the league, which is not what we want to see in the league. So unfortunately, I have to say congratulations to Bears, but I think Man U really needs to step up, because our next game is going to be equally very tight. They are facing an Option Sport side that were beaten in their last game, and to Option Sport who want to show Bears that anything you can do, I can do better. And probably we might see a 15 goals to 0 victory in that particular game.
Let's take on this contribution from Ulrich in Cassava Farm. He says, "Good evening to you in the studio. Best stars of our Badia. How can they defeat a team from a 10 goals and 13 goals to nil?" That's for performance to determine. And just to equally reiterate that Man UFC, it's a newly promoted team to the Southwest Regional League, and you might be asking yourself, was the Meme Divisional League that competitive? Those are a little bit of questions that you will be asking yourself. Once more, thank you very much, always, for contributing. Over to you, Ngome Mike. I know that it was a match day 3, never to forget for you.
Yeah, definitely it was a good match day. Aside all the most often we look at the goal score, but there are other things that came into play, which I think are much more even important than the goal scored. But the score line was a little bit alarming. But when we look at other matches, such as the comeback of Senior Dev is well commendable. Down to Option Sport and coming up to overpower them by 4 goals to 1. We equally saw a Dream Soccer side that attempted to stall Fako United, who were not really expected to be out of the Cameroon Cup at that level, but they responded well to that situation. I mean, that's where you see the character of a team when they respond to a disappointing result by getting it much better in the next round of the games. So we are hoping to see maybe Man U FC will retaliate from that bashing and see how it goes forward. But the games were quite impressive. The matches were really good, and even those are from Meme as well. And this is a pool where most often we get not to hear a lot about it, but when they come, Legend FA is in the round of 32 of the Cameroon Cup. Kumba City FC were down here in Boya, went down to Limbe, and last season in the mini Interpol, and did a remarkable performance there. So we are hoping to see how it goes, and match day 4 fixtures rather are all out, and another weekend to savour what is made of this amateur championship, which is making wave all over the national territory.
Definitely, we're waiting to see what's going to transpire in terms of match day 4. We'll take on to this other contribution from David from Kumba, who says, "Good evening to you, lady and gentlemen in the studio. Very interesting topics. What I want to say is in terms of the MTN Elite 1 play down, where Bambutus, Lesasco, and Apujes, that if any of the team has to go down, especially Bambutus of Buddha, that means that gate fees will reduce." Anyway, not too far from the truth. Thank you very much, David, all the way from Kumba, from contributing. Let me just take you back to this David's own question. Don't you think that it's something that we all know? When we talk about fans, Bambutus, like you earlier said, it's one of the teams that have a huge number of fans, and like we were earlier talking about them being relegated to the MTN L2 Championship. That means that money equally is going to reduce.
Well, their money is going to reduce, but how much does Bambutus make when we want to go down?
No, he's talking about the gate fee, but the multitude that normally come to the stadium.
Well, look at the multitude is not going to Bambutus, it's going to the federation. So
Which
you
I'm
cannot-
sure that's what
remember,
that's
Bambutus does
David's
not
plight.
own a stadium, which is something that some of these clubs should do. There are pieces of land that you can go and buy, and you construct your own infrastructure. If a club that is so Nita, there are things that we see in this football. Unfortunately, they see some of us as being young, but the ideas that we have are ideas that can really take a club to another level. You talk about gate taking. If Bambutus owns a stadium today,
Synthetic.
whether it's artificial or it's synthetic or it's the natural, if Bambutus owns a stadium, whether it's 60,000, 25,000, 2,500 or a 1.5,
250.
like the proximity stadium has been
Yes.
built now in Daffy,
250.
do you know how much Bambutus can make in a season? Just the gate taken from Bambutus alone. We're not talking about other fans, just Bambutus alone. Do you know how much they can make just owning an infrastructure? Unfortunately, they are not doing that. They are abundant of land in the west region.
A base. I mean, it's
Sometimes when I look at, because recently, you talk about the gate taking. How much we're giving to the clubs for gate takings after the playoffs?
Boris, I think we
Just
should
the
not, we
first
should not
week. No,
focus on that.
no. We're talking about gate taking, and gate taking here goes not to the clubs,
The federation.
but the federation who releases afterwards.
Very
I asked a
true.
simple question: how much was released to the clubs recently? I'm not calling the amount. You make the judgment by yourself. So what we are saying here is this: gate takings are one of the most essential things for teams. But unfortunately, we rely so much on gate takings, and we rely so much on what is called subvention. If subvention ceases today, Mr. Gobe Michael,
clubs will
90%
cease.
of these
Clubs will cease to exist. That's
which is
definitely
unfortunate.
true.
A club is a private business. I ask the question sometimes that when these clubs sell players, for example, let's take the case of Dinamo of Douala, who sold Lionel Atiba to USM Algiers in Algeria. Did Dinamo take, say, 10 million and go to the federation, say, federation take, for assisting me in selling Lionel Atiba? No, they didn't. It goes to their private coffers. That tells you what? It is a private business. But we keep relying so much on subvention that when it doesn't come, it's a problem. I'm not going to the polemics of the fact that when it comes, it's being tied and so on. No, that's not my problem here. I'm just looking at the aspect of the subvention. That it is high time these clubs look at diversifying. I use the example of Victoria United that started selling their t-shirt. Good for them. Isusa did that last season. Good for them. But how much can you make in the jerseys? Opobo sold for 5,000. Isusa went for 10,000. Yeah, it's going to be but how much can he pay the whole team for a month? I'm not sure. So I always say, let's use examples of clubs that are making it for themselves. I'll keep using Bestard from now till I die, and I'll keep using Cotton Sport from now till I die. Because these are clubs. No, let's be frank with ourselves. These are clubs that are showing a model.
It's not wrong
on
to
how
call it to
things have
pick
to
up
go.
from the right examples, definitely, because when you look at it, even towards the end of the regular phase of the season, the Sinafor came out, and you saw that even clubs like Cotton Sport were on touch with, I mean, in terms of distributing monies to sell players, and they even do their good businesses up to the extent that it turns back to affecting them, like they ship out a lot and they don't have players to retain them. But they actually have a solid academy, which we have seen, and they replenish from there. Even other clubs which we don't know do so much in merchandising, such as Fouvre Azur, were one of those, and you see how the team performed. So they should seek for financial independence, sources where they can generate their own personal money. Then I think if these clubs do these things, this problem of, like Boris is saying, turning back to gate takings, subventions will not be a problem, because subvention is aiding. It's not a right. You are not entitled to it. It's aiding. Because if Fecafoot decides that they want to take that money and make sure that these stadiums hit a certain standard throughout the season, it's their judgment.
Well, so the thing about this subvention is that it's not even coming from the FECAFOOT, it's coming from the government that goes through FECAFOOT. And remember, FECAFOOT is a body that runs football activities in this country. So it's coming from the government. You start your question, are there justification of the money? Well, but I don't want to go into that polemic because it will take us like till tomorrow. We're just looking at the basic facts here. I know that a couple of clubs are struggling and they rely so much on the subvention. We cannot really blame them, but I think they really need to step out of that their cocoon to know that there are other aspects that they really need to invest in. I go back to Cotton Sport of Garoua. We had a certain player called Jean-Éric Mousou, who was external player for Cotton Sport of Garoua. Cotton sold him to, I think it's Valenciennes.
Yeah, in France. Yes.
Do you know that amount can pay the salary of the present couple of players in Cotton for almost 3 months?
Very true.
So that's why when you see Cotton Sport doesn't grumble, it's like Cotton Sport don't want to join the bandwagon,
Yeah.
or people grumbling. It's because they have gone out of that business
The project.
of relying solely on subvention. Every year, Cotton ships out not one, not two, but at least about 3 players.
Even at that, they have
And
sponsors.
yeah, if I want to, just taking me now to the other aspect of the sponsors, that how many of the clubs
They
have
have
sponsors. And yes, we'll go back to the polemics again of saying that FECAFOOT stopped them from using the sponsors that they have. I think that's a discussion for another day. But it's high time clubs really invest and should stop relying solely on the gate takings and solely on the subvention. Is there right to have that subvention? I think that's one thing we need to really put out clearly. Is the right for the clubs to be giving their subvention? The problem now you come with the
That
fact
is
of
if and only
justification.
if you fulfill all the.
So Nita, let's not go to that. I didn't want to enter that polemic because it's a polemic that I really hold, and I feel bad sometimes when we start going into those polemics aspect, because like we said, these clubs are due subvention from the state, not from FECAFOOT. I think that's one thing we should make it clear. When have we ever heard? So let's just leave it about, because by the time we start entering this, it will take us, because when I start listening to some of the problems and some of the things that people say about the subvention, it gets me angry sometimes. Let's be honest, the clubs, no, let's be honest with ourselves. The clubs are due subvention from the state. The problem now is as the aspect of the justification. Ask yourself, if a club has justified, what stops the club now from not having the subvention? You start going back to the. So there's a lot of things tied into this aspect of subvention. But my problem here is it's high time clubs move out of this mindset of subvention, move out of this mindset of gate taking. Build your club to the level that in a year you sell 1 or 2 or 3 players. I tell you, Sonny, a club that invests in that mindset will not complain so much. I'm not saying that you will not complain, because when you have subvention that is due to you, you must ask for the subvention. But you will not complain a lot like another club that will rely solely on subvention. And that's the case of Cotton Sport. Like I said, I'll use Cotton Sport till now. If they change their modus operandi, then I'll come back and tell you that there's no club again in this country that operates in a smooth way. But I think for now, this, like Michael said, there's nothing bad in copying a good example. We've said it here since last year, and we're still saying it again. Unfortunately, the clubs see it like a joke. Now we come on air and we joke. Ask yourself, how many of these clubs have a team press officer or a media officer? Ask yourself, how many of these clubs have a marketing department that gets finances into the club?
A lot of questions, no answers to them. I think we're speaking about a lot of subventions, clubs looking for sponsors here and there. We have been echoing this for a very long time. Not only at the elite level, even here at the regional level, it has been applied for clubs here to be able to get extra finances. And we're hoping that they get to always hear and try to copy the goods. And equally, we've been talking about Fakul United, seeing all their best stars. There is a club that has been silently working on a lot of strategies and has been winning her games. And we're talking about Elengspor that defeated Continental 6 goals to nil. Gome Mike, I know it's a club you have followed, and it, like I say, it's a silent club that if we don't look carefully, their objectives for this year, which is to play the national interpost, is going to come through.
Yeah, definitely. I think when Elexpo played the Faco League last season, qualified, and their performance on that opening day against Faco United, which was truly a classic game, it shows it all. It shows it all, and when you look at the stability, the kind of human resource they have injected in it. I mean, for Coach Njoku Barnabas to stand at the club, the former, I think, coach of Tico United, Kemgo Raymond, equally being as an assistant, it shows you the investment they are making, which is producing this kind of results. And even when the league, before it started, they had been in a couple of friendlies, the assembled their squad. I mean, they were all ready, and like you said, it's one of those teams where I'm not making any declaration, but by what we are seeing as per performance, Elexpo, should they maintain this same pace, definitely they might be playing the finals of the mini Interpol in the region, because they have that squad depth. Against Continental, it came up. We didn't see that ferociousness in the first segment of that game, which we saw against Faco United. And we spoke to Coach Njoku Barnabas. He said, yeah, he knew the team he was coming to play, so he sent in the first set to crack in the other team, and it appears they did a breakdown, because at halftime it was just 1-0. Then they came back, and few substitution came in, and you see how the team is. And this is one thing about teams and consistency. When you have that ability to, that backup, I would say, that reinforcement that comes in and creates impact, it helps you so much. It helps you quite a lot, because there are moments where I think by the second round fatigue will start setting in, and you rely now on these players. Maybe injuries will come in, and Elexpo have that scope where if you look through it, financially it seems they are really stable.
The only team to have did they elect their budget for the whole season to tell you that they are fit financially.
And it gives you that elite mentality, because when the elite one or elite two gets up, you see players, teams electing their budget. I mean, if you start this way, definitely you are setting that pace. So they are not really a silent team. We are still watching them. We have seen teams who have come up with high performances at the start and not live up to that expectation. But let's see how the case of Elexpo goes. But as of now, they are doing quite well. I think a win in the last game, and of course they picked up that important draw. It's the message is clear to whoever is coming up against Elexpo of Limbe.
And definitely, talking about substitutes that can change the narratives of the game. We didn't see that against Al Jazeera versus Kamjo, despite the fact that the boys from Moyoka actually picked up a 4-3 victory over Kamjo Boris.
Well, it was a game which Al Jazeera had to win, because they've not played to the best of their abilities in recent games. They played against the Kamjo side that looked a bit not up to par as far as the league is concerned. Al Jazeera had the opportunity to qualify with the Cup of Cameroon, but unfortunately missed out. And so all attention now for the side is on the Southwest Regional League. And I must say we have to really give kudos to some of the players. For example, Tenke Hebed, who at the moment is a player that has really come of age in the regional championship. I've followed him for the past couple of seasons now, and I believe that he's somebody who can really step up to the elite level, like Njuma has done, like Ray Jefta has done. I think the next player now of Al Jazeera should be Herbert. He's really gone up to his prime in terms of this particular game. I think he scored 2 goals or so in this particular game. I was talking with the president or so, and he had identified a couple of players who he thinks that they are of age, that they really need to probably get a club as far as the elite level is concerned. And Herbert, to me, is that player that can really prove himself as far as the elite level is concerned. And so it was a really good game that we watched there. And for Al Jazeera, they want to go back to the mini Interpol. I think that's what was really coming out from the players, that they really want to go back to the mini Interpol. They missed out a couple of times or so now, but they can do it. But like Michael is saying, there are a couple of teams that to me I've seen that can really go into the elite, to the mini Interpol. Remember that about 6 clubs or so have been removed from the championship. So the championship will not be as it was last year with a number of games. It will be streamlined to about 8 or so games. I think in Pool C or so, there are about 4 teams left. The other 4 have been declared general for future. So most of them, they'll play just 8 games, as opposed to the number of games that we had expected to have in the championship this year. Elexpor is one of the teams I've seen at the moment that will go far. Kumba City Football Club Victory is another team that I expect to be in the mini Interpol. Best Stars equally is a side that I know will be there consistently. They have been there. Boya teams have been very sluggish at the moment. The only side that I've been really impressed with, I think, is Senior Dev FA. They've impressed me a lot. From them picking up a ticket in the Cup of Cameroon to the way they played in their last game, I believe that they can really go far. I've not really had a chance to watch a lot of Boya United's game, but Samba too is another side that I believe can go far in terms of this competition. That's Tico United. Yes, you talk about the fact that Elexpor is the only side that has talked about its budget, but another team that has a lot of budget at the moment this year is Tico United. So, and I believe, talking with some of the fans and even the players, the president wants to take this side into the mini Interpol, and we should not be surprised seeing these sides that have just scored in the mini Interpol.
And we're hoping for the best. The most important is that this particular team should all be competitive, because I think that that's what we want to see. We want to see these players get out of their shells and create a lot in terms of this season here in the Southwest Regional League. And away from the Southwest Regional League, let's talk about the Champions League yesterday, where it was a crucial game. I know that Gomen Michael Rada had his fingers crossed, not knowing that Vinicius again was still going to get us a second goal after Bayern Munich was ahead of us. Gomen Michael, sorry.
Well, that it's a classic one. I think that's the most reoccurring knockout game in the UEFA Champions League. A classic night, 2-2 at the Allianz Arena. It's a fair result. All left to be played for next week in Madrid, and I mean, those are teams of class. Bayern Munich playing at home, you expect them to score, and they did score twice. They took the lead and couldn't hold to it. It's we haven't seen the final end of this game. The final bend of this game is still to come true, and that will be played at Real Madrid Stadium at the Bernabeu. One thing I would really love to appreciate about yesterday's game was how the Frenchman, the referee, managed the game. It was quite a really brilliant officiating there, and we are hoping to see that it goes forward into tonight's game. But like I said, the Bayern Munich Real Madrid game, it's everybody has a 50-50 chance to getting into the next stage, which is the final stage of the UEFA Champions League. It's all left to, I think, next week, Wednesday, to determine it.
And yes, we're talking to Man City or Barcelona fans now at the moment. And I find Boris is so no smiling and telling me, "Yeah, but Boris, we're sorry, but it has to work in our favor. And we are going for the 15th title. And I think that you should be waiting for us in the second leg of the game."
No, I was surprised to hear the word Man City and Barcelona fan, because I don't see myself as a Man City fan.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a Barcelona fan through and through. Yes, there are a couple of individuals that are changing camp left, right, center. whereas they want to see. No, I am not of that fan base. I am a one club person. Not necessarily one club person because I support a couple of clubs in England, but for the first club of my heart is FC Barcelona. It wasn't a good season for us this year in the Champions League. We missed out with a good PSG side. For the game yesterday, I think I enjoyed the game as a neutral fan. Going to this game, I know many Los Blancos fans always have this mentality that they're going to come out and they're going to blow a team away. Surprisingly, that wasn't the case yesterday. I know many were like, we are happy for the draw. You were not happy for the draw. You expected to win. But you're just consoling yourself as to the fact that you picked up the draw.
Which is better than a defeat.
That's what we're saying. So now the Madrid fans thought they were just going to go to Bayern and go to blow and walk in the park, which isn't the case. Like Michael always say, football is a whole total game that you cannot really predict sometimes. Yeah, you can predict that the score will be like this and this, but in the field, things change. And that's what I observed yesterday, and I really want to say it was a good game first of all. Both teams didn't sit on their laurels. Both teams approached the game, wanted to score goals. Congratulations to Vinicius, who was exceptional in the game. Harry Kane equally picked up his own goal. Leroy Sané. I expected Madrid to win in this particular game. To be honest,
remember Bayern pressed them.
Yes, heading into this game, the way I saw Madrid played against Man City, even though they were pressed in most of the encounters as far as that game is concerned, but Madrid, when they reached the semi-final, they are hardly beaten in those particular games. Only on rare occasions that they are beating the semi-finals, and I knew that it's going to be not an easy walk in the park, but I expected Madrid to win. But I was very surprised to the level at which Bayern wanted to win this particular game, even though they went behind to Vinicius Junior. But that didn't stop them. They kept pressing, and I don't know where Leroy Sané left his shooting boot at the moment, because yesterday it was woeful. Several opportunities to score. I don't know where his boot was, or maybe give a pass to Harry Kane. So, first of all, it was a good game, and I expect nothing but the same style of play in the second half. That's the second leg. Yes, we might say it is inside Madrid, the Santiago Bernabeu. Yes, we might say Real Madrid doesn't lose any inside the Santiago Bernabeu, but Bayern have just one trophy. And I think that's one thing many people are failing to understand. Bayern have nothing to lose. They have just the Champions League to win. And they're going into this game with everything to play for. And the good news for us this time around is the fact that there's no aggregate advantage.
Yeah.
So it's still now like 0-0 heading into this particular game. So I expect nothing but an exciting encounter again in the second leg. And tonight, I expect Borussia Dortmund to win this game tonight against Paris Saint-Germain. Why? Because Paris eliminated us, and I want Bayern.
I said
Borussia Dortmund.
Barcelona fans always have excuses.
No. I'm not basing my excuse based on the fact that we are out. Like I said, we performed this year poorly, and anybody who says otherwise, it means that the person is just want to sugarcoat things. No, we were woeful this year, and that's why we lost the La Liga, we lost the Copa del Rey, and in the Champions League, yes, we won the first leg, but the second leg we were woeful in that second encounter against Paris Saint-Germain. So we just have to be honest with ourselves to say Barcelona wasn't on form this year. But I'm basing my argument this time with the game Borussia Dortmund against Paris Saint-Germain, and the game will be coming up out there in Borussia Dortmund in Germany. And like Bayern, Borussia Dortmund has just this title to win. And remember, they've not been to the final in a long time. So it's going to be quite an exciting game. And if Paris wins, Paris goes to his first Champions League final. So it's going to be interesting to see how the game goes.
And yes, Gomen Market, to you, who do you see getting closer to the trophy? Who is going to replace Man City to you?
Well, I think so long as Real Madrid is still in the ball game. You can't cancel it out entirely, but PSG as well. They have a case here. They have a marksman, Kylian Mbappe, who will be leaving to Spain at the end of the season. He's already won the Ligue 1, and it will be a really historic moment for him. A young lad who has picked up the FIFA World Cup and all other trophies that you could mention in his cabinet, to pick up the UEFA Champions League. I think they played the final in 2021 against Bayern Munich, and they didn't get it, and this is another opportunity. And as per the game tonight against Borussia Dortmund, I think Paris Saint-Germain, they will be on the front foot. They will be taking back a good result home. They might beat Borussia Dortmund tonight, despite the fact that Borussia Dortmund has the following tonight, and they are playing at home as well. But Paris Saint-Germain, Kylian Mbappe, Ousmane Dembele, and all other key players who I think they will be a very good one. They will dominate Borussia Dortmund at home tonight.
Definitely, we are going to see what is going to transpire between that game, and it's with this particular keynote that we get to wrap up the program for today's edition. Once more, thank you very much, Boris and Ngume Mike, for answering my call when I have to put just a call to you. And we want to say thank you very much to all those who contributed right from Kumba and Libe. We say thank you very much, and equally to those who were calling. Sorry, we can't go without thanking our producer, Precious, who was there to give us a little bit of what was needed in terms of the production of today, and equally Tamfu Clothing that has been behind the cameras manipulating the 10,000 button. We say thank you very much equally, and you pick up the rendezvous with us next week, Wednesday, where we are going to be coming equally with very interesting sporting related issues. And it's time around for me to say bye-bye from this end to yours, as you're going to be seeing Sunita tomorrow morning for the Elabamu show at exactly 8 p.m. for sport update. Bye bye for now, and stay tuned as a high prime will be coming up to you.